I believe in America. Those are the first words spoken in the dark, a plea from a desperate father. And from that single line, out of the shadows, emerges not just a film, but the great, tragic American epic. When we talk about The Godfather, we aren't just talking about a mob movie. We are talking about family. We are talking about blood, about the things we inherit and the things we are doomed to repeat. We are talking about the American dream and the terrible, terrible price it demands from our souls. Imagine for a moment Vito Corleone, a man who arrived on the shores of New York with nothing but the clothes on his back and the haunting silence of a murdered family in Sicily. He built an empire, not out of malice, but out of a desperate, clawing need to protect those he loved. He built a fortress to keep the cruel world out. But fortresses, they have a way of becoming prisons, don't they? The true heartbreak of Francis Ford Coppola's 1972 masterpiece isn't found in the bullets or the blood on the streets. It is found in the eyes of Michael Corleone. Michael, the golden boy, the war hero, the son who sat beside his beautiful, innocent girlfriend at a family wedding and promised, "That's my family, Kay. That's not me." We watch, helpless, as the gravity of his bloodline pulls him in. We watch the light slowly drain from his eyes. It is a terrifying, breathtaking descent. To save his father, Michael must lose himself. To protect his family, he must destroy the very soul of it. Coppola orchestrates this tragedy like a grand, weeping opera. We are invited to joyous weddings where we laugh, drink, and drink dark red wine. We stand in quiet, sunlit gardens where a grandfather plays with his grandson among the tomato vines, moments before his heart gives out. And then we are pulled into the cold, marble darkness of churches, where holy vows of baptism are shattered by the deafening sound of assassinations. Love and death, warmth and ice. And then, that final scene, the door. We see Michael, crowned the new dawn, his face a mask of cold stone. And as Kay watches from the hallway, the door is slowly, firmly shut in her face, shutting out the light, shutting out the truth, shutting out the last remnants of Michael's humanity. It breaks you every single time, because you realize the boy she loved is dead. Only the Godfather remains. But the tragedy on screen was nearly matched by the sheer, desperate agony behind the camera. Today, we look at The Godfather and see a flawless monument of cinema. We think it was destined for greatness. It wasn't. It was born in a crucible of doubt, fear, and near constant emotional breakdown. Francis Ford Coppola was just 29 years old. He was broke. He was terrified. The studio, Paramount Pictures, didn't trust him. They had a shadow director waiting in the wings, ready to replace him the moment he slipped. Coppola lived every single day of production with a sick, twisting knot in his stomach, convinced that when he yelled cut, he would be fired. And the casting? It was a war. Paramount fought tooth and nail against Marlon Brando. They said he was box office poison. They said he mumbled. But Coppola knew. He knew the soul of Vito Corleone lived inside that complex, troubled man. And then there was Al Pacino. The studio executives watched his early scenes and asked, when is this kid gonna do something? They wanted Robert Redford. They wanted a traditional movie star. Pacino felt their disdain. He felt unwanted. Imagine the crushing weight on that young man's shoulders. He was suffering. Pacino was so exhausted, so emotionally drained by the terrifying intensity of his method acting, that after filming the scene where his ankle running from the hospital, he secretly prayed his leg was broken. He prayed it was broken just so he could go home and escape the pressure cooker of the set. The emotional toll on this cast was staggering. Brando, deeply eccentric and carrying his own private ghosts, refused to memorize lines, using cue cards taped to lamps, to walls, even to the chests of his fellow actors. He wanted to capture the hesitation of real speech, but it created an atmosphere of wild unpredictability. A film is only as immortal as the faces that carry it, and The Godfather gave us faces that will haunt cinema forever. 10 actors, 10 pillars of greatness. But time is the one dawn we must all eventually bow to. Let us remember them. Marlon Brando, Vito Corleone. He gave the dawn a whisper that roared louder than a gunshot. He gave him humanity, a monster who loved his children. Brando left us in 2004, at the age of 80. He died a reclusive legend, complicated, brilliant, leaving behind a shadow that no actor will ever step out of. Al Pacino, Michael, the tragic core of the saga. Today, in his 80s, Pacino is still a titan among us, still acting, still roaring against the dying of the light. But it is Michael's cold, dead eyes that defined him. He carries the ghosts of the Corleone family to this day, an elder statesman of the craft. James Caan, our fiery, beautiful, doomed Sonny. We lost Jimmy in 2022. When the news broke, the world wept for the oldest brother. He brought an explosive, terrifying vulnerability to the screen. Even in his later years, with that eternal twinkle in his eye, he was always our Sonny. Robert Duvall, Tom Hagen, the quiet, observant adopted son, the only man who could tell the Dawn the truth without fear. Duvall, now in his 90s, remains one of the greatest living actors in American history, a quiet master of the invisible art. Diane Keaton, Kay Adams, the moral compass that gets shattered. She survived the darkness of the Corleones and became a beacon of joy, fashion, and comedy in Hollywood. She thrives today, a beloved icon, completely untethered from the tragedy she portrayed so perfectly. John Cazale, Fredo. Oh, Fredo. I'm smart, not like everybody says. John Cazale was the bleeding heart of the Godfather saga, an actor of unimaginable depth. Tragically, he was taken from us far, far too soon, passing away from cancer in 1978. He made only 5 feature films in his life. All 5 were nominated for Best Picture. We lost a genius when we lost John. Talia Shire, Connie Corleone, the abused, broken daughter who hardens into a widow of vengeance. Coppola's own sister, who proved to the world she earned her place through sheer, undeniable talent. She lives on, carrying the cinematic legacy of her legendary family. Sterling Hayden, Captain McCluskey, the towering, corrupt fist of the law, a real-life war hero and a tormented soul. Hayden brought a brutal realism to the diner scene. He sailed away from this world in 1986, a wanderer returning to the sea. Abe Vigoda, Salvatore Tessio, the loyal friend who makes the wrong bet. Tell Mike he was only business. I always liked him. The sheer tragedy in that line. Vigoda became a beloved television staple, his craggy face instantly recognizable, until he left us in 2016 at the age of 94. And Richard Conte, Don Barsini, the silver-haired, immaculate viper, the true orchestrator of the family's misery. Conte was a veteran of film noir, lending deep credibility to the mobster world. He passed away just a few years after the film's release, in 1975. Look at them. Half of these 10 legends have crossed over. They are gone.
But in the amber glow of Gordon Willis's cinematography, they will never age. They will never die. They belong to eternity now. But is The Godfather a perfect film? In an era of relentless pacing, of 3-second attention spans and explosive computer-generated imagery, a modern viewer sitting down to watch this 1972 epic might feel the weight of its new 3-hour runtime. There are debates, even today. Some say the pacing in the middle act, especially the extended Sicilian sequence, slows the momentum. Some point out the famous tiny technical flaws. If you look closely during the street fight, you can see Sonny's punches clearly missing Carlo by a mile. But you know what? Those flaws, they don't diminish the masterpiece. They elevate it. They remind us that this wasn't made by a machine. It was made by desperate, passionate human beings in the freezing cold of New York. The slow pacing isn't a mistake. It's a deliberate, heavy breath. It is the rhythm of a funeral procession. It demands your patience. It demands your soul. When you see a painter's fingerprint on the canvas of a masterpiece, you don't call it a flaw. You call it proof of the artist's touch. The slight imperfections of The Godfather are the fingerprints of Coppola, of Willis, of Brando. They make the film bleed. They make it real. Over 50 years have passed since we first heard that trumpet in the dark. Empires have risen and fallen. The world has changed. Cinema has changed. Yet The Godfather remains untouched, a monolithic pillar on the horizon of storytelling. Why? Why do we keep coming back to the Corleones? Because beneath the fedoras, beneath the Tommy guns and the cannolis, it is a story about us. It is a story about the terrifying realization that we cannot escape our blood. It is about fathers who want the world for their sons. I never wanted this for you, Michael. I thought you would be Senator Corleone, Governor Corleone. It is the tragedy of a man who gains the whole world only to lose his own soul. When we watch The Godfather, we aren't just watching a crime syndicate. We are watching the death of American innocence.
We are watching love turn into duty, and duty turn into murder. If you haven't seen it in a while, go back to it. Sit in the dark. Let the golden light wash over you. Let the haunting waltz break your heart all over again. Because in the end, we are all standing in that hallway with Kay, watching the men we love disappear into the shadows.